Good evening, everybody. All you folks that are here. I know it's going to be a busy Occupy night, possibly. And just for the chatters, to remind you, I know there's an action going on tonight. They're going to meet at the Red Cube at 8 p.m. and then do a march for police against police brutality based on the situation from last night. And so my intention here is we're going to do this interview. I won't do any split screens or cutaways. If anybody sees something going on elsewhere, feel free to throw the link up. But we don't want to rush Bob. He's been good enough to give us his time and energy to make a presentation. So I appreciate you all being here. After the interview, I'll do a save on it and do a quick wrap up, and then we'll go follow the events of the evening. So I want to welcome Bob back to speak with us. I appreciate it. You know, it's been a lot of stuff in the news lately. I think he's going to give us, this is going to be more of a just sort of a presentation, but if you guys have questions, if you'll put them in bold, then I'll try to read them off to him. And Bob, are you watching the chat also, or are you just on the vid part?
I don't have the chat. I don't know how to do that.
Okay, well that's fine. I'll just read things off. That'll give us a chance to vet it and kind of keep it on topic too. So without
Okay.
any further ado, I'll just turn it over to you. Welcome and let us hear what you have to say.
Okay. Well, greetings, everyone. My name's Bob Klein, and I'm a GMO food activist. And I think what you're most interested in is how to avoid GMOs and more information on GMOs. And it's a big topic. It reverberates out in all directions into the past and how we got here with giant agribusiness and the failing of family farms. And it has nothing to do with the free market at all. It's been massaged in that direction by large corporate interests and their minions in the government. And we find ourselves now with this situation, this wonderful book called CAFO, or Concentrated Animal Feeding Operations. And you can find most of this at cafothebook.org. cafothebook.org. And most of the GMOs grown are soy and corn, as well as cotton and canola. But the soy and corn are then fed to the animals in these concentration camps, as they're called in this book. And the book is a rallying cry for a moral stand against this horrible treatment of animals. And the best way to avoid GMOs and the best way to make a dent in their continued use is to avoid eating meat that was raised in these prisons, in these concentration camps that are fed only GMO soy and corn. It's not easy to do because there's very few restaurants that have grass-fed meat. It becomes hard to eat out. But the best, that's what I've come to conclude is the best way you can make an impact is just refuse to eat the cheap meat. And it is cheap because it's subsidized. The other thing I've discovered in my research is that the farm bills have been used to support genetic modification, that there's a massive amount of federal subsidy going into price supports for soy and corn so that these large agribusinesses aren't even taking a risk. And all this froth about free market is just a convenient lie. That the whole situation has been pushed in this direction in order to gain control of the food, since they technically, through patents, own the food that you're eating. You're not allowed to plant it. You couldn't buy a chunk of corn and plant it on your own. They would own your food that's being grown on your property. What's happening is that now this food has been approved for human consumption. There's a new kind of corn that's been approved that has a pesticide in every cell of the plant that you will then eat. It's called the sweet corn. I forgot the actual name of it, Cry AG. There's a campaign going on now at Organic Consumers Association, which is a good website to get to know. And the other one is Food and Water Watch, foodandwaterwatch.org. And already Trader Joe's and Whole Foods have refused to carry this corn meant for human consumption that's completely untested on humans, but all indications are that it's very toxic and very bad for you and completely unnecessary. There's plenty of corn. Foodandwaterwatch.org, we're trying to get Walmart to go on the record as saying they refuse to carry this corn. So we have tremendous consumer power in this issue, tremendous power. And if we can just not eat this meat would be the main way we can force them to stop making this stuff. Those are the three things, is to put pressure on Walmart not to carry the corn, stop eating the industrial agriculture meat, and push for the ballot in California to label genetically modified foods that contain GMOs. Those are the three most important things you can do. And the beauty of it is that we really can have an impact by doing those things. It really is up to us. And I don't know if any of you have any questions about how to avoid GMOs or any questions at all. I don't have anything else prepared, but I just urge you. This is an incredible book. A lot of the information is at cafothebook.org. They're a wonderful group. Really going to encourage you to avoid eating meat that was raised that way. And Mark, do you have any
Bob,
questions?
Yeah, Donald has actually two questions. The first one is on the meat, and he was wondering, as a consumer, going through just a regular grocery store, how is the best way to identify which meat would be, okay to eat and give us the furthest distance from GMOs versus the ones that are, GMO laden? And to give an example, yesterday I was at our local grocery store and was, looking to buy chicken, of course. And so, the commercial produced chicken was, this price, and then there's some packaged chicken that was, had labeled organic, no hormones, no antibiotics and everything. But how do we ensure we're choosing the best possible available thing as far as meat goes in a grocery store?
Donald, that's a very good question. It's very hard to know just from the label. The best way to shop to really know what you're getting is at farmers markets. The other thing to do is to get the name of the manufacturer or the grower or the processor on that meat package and give them a call. Ask them what exactly they're feeding the animals and how they're raised, and you do a little homework. That's great that store had at least had that offered, the no hormones and no antibiotics, and that's a start. And they now track every sale in every supermarket across the country, and they know exactly if there's a 1% uptick in purchases of hormone-free meat. Believe me, that sends waves through the community of meat sellers, and there will be more hormone-free meat produced. They watch everything really closely. So that's great. That's wonderful that meat was offered for sale there. The best is grass-fed beef, free-range chicken, but you do have to go behind the scenes. You can also.
I think Bob froze. We'll give it a second to see if it comes back. Hang on, let me give him a little text there. Oop.
Hello, Mark.
Hey, are you there? Yeah?
I'm here.
Okay. I think
We
we
can
had a little Skype issue there, so
yeah.
let's see. Um, I have no video from you, and
I see you now.
yeah, do you have your video camera little dealio turned on?
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Back. The wonders of technology. So we were summarizing that last little bit about the meat packaging and the labeling and contacting the packer and just asking the question of
Yeah,
being an aggressive and intelligent consumer. So,
absolutely. That's
okay.
the ticket.
And then Bob's follow-up question was about you mentioned the GMO corn and how the pesticide was actually integrated into cell structure, and he wanted to know, does that extract through cooking, or is it just totally
No,
inherent?
no, it does not go away by cooking. They um, they found that it's a bacteria called Bacteria thuringiensis, BT. So it would be called BT corn, and they have inserted it into the DNA of the plant, so it's in every cell of the plant. So when a bug eats the corn plant, it dies.
Mm-hmm.
And it was said that, great, we won't have to spray pesticides on the crops because anything that eats the corn will die. The other bugs will be fine.
Right.
But it's actually increased pesticide use because the pesticide is in the plant, all the plant. So all parts of the plant, not just the kernels that we eat, but it's in the leaves of the plant as well as the kernels we eat. And it has increased the amount of this pesticide in the rainwater, in the streams. It's now been found in breast milk. It's been found even in placentas. It's permeated our environment. So it's actually increased the amount of this pesticide in the environment. And there's so much of it that a lot of bugs have become resistant to it, have evolved so that it's no longer toxic to them.
Right. It's like a superbug, like with antibiotics and things.
It's the same exact thing. And they found that this bacteria because now they find that DNA is actually much more malleable and changeable than thought, and that bacteria especially swap DNA with each other. That's why bacteria are so powerful and omnipresent, is that they can actually rearrange their own DNA. And DNA from this corn plant has been shown can become part of your DNA in the bacteria in your stomach. And there are some theories that your own stomach will then produce pesticides, the bacteria in your stomach. And there is a huge rise in gastrointestinal disorders and a huge rise in other physical ailments because your gut bacteria and your intestinal flora are key to your health. And one of the problems with eating and consuming GMOs is the theory that it's messing up your gut bacteria. You have a lot of very beneficial bacteria in you. And by incorporating these pesticides, you're messing up the structure of that bacteria. Now, a lot of the GMOs, most GMOs that we eat in processed food are in the oils, like you'll take, or in the high fructose corn syrup. Now, there it's been shown that the processing of the oil, the argument is that there's no DNA left. It's been altered, the structure of the plant has been altered so much that you're really not getting any more of the DNA or any more of the actual altered genetic structure. But once again, there have been no long-term tests done on the oil. So nobody really knows. But no, if you eat that sweet corn, I think it's going to be bad for you.
Yeah. So,
It's
well,
bad for the
it's
animal.
a systemic kind of thing, and the fact that it migrates organism to organism makes it really complicated because it means we would be ingesting it. if you feed that corn to animals, they ingest it and it becomes part of the recombinant DNA, and so it's just passed on through the whole food chain. And
Exactly.
and I guess our bodies build up, dynamic resistance to that. So that explains a lot about some of the things that are happening. We're getting quite a few questions on the pink slime issue, which was, all in the news this week a good bit, and people are interested in that and wonder if you could shed a little bit of light or a little bit of an overview on that.
Well, there you go. Pink slime comes directly from CAFOs, and they have so many animals go through there, and there's so much waste. There's so many parts of the animal they can't use. Rather than have to throw this stuff out, they're finding that they're just grinding it up and putting it into the actual meat of the animal.
Mm-hmm.
And because it will save money and actually make them money, because they can now sell it for $2 a pound instead of have to cart it somewhere and bury it. It's probably toxic. They'd probably be under some kind of like EPA rules on discarding it. Government has allowed them to put it into school lunch meat. I don't know what to say about that. Apparently there is a way for the school district to opt out of accepting this slime meat. I would say don't eat it. Don't let your children eat it. Send them to school with something else. Make food at home and send it to school and refuse. Let your school district know that you know about this pink slime, you know about this meat. That's just the beginning of it. It's the pink slime. It's full of ammonia. They're having to irradiate this meat because it's filled with toxins and bacteria. The best thing to do is educate yourself, get on the internet, and contact your school board, and don't let your kids eat it.
Just another example of just say no might be a productive step in the right direction.
Refuse. The refuse mix. No, I won't eat it. I will not participate in your culture of death.
Yeah. Sapphire asked, are you aware of, or do you know if they have any patent on pigs or cows yet? Or is it just the stuff they're feeding them?
There is a patent on a cloned pig that has been approved for human consumption in Canada. That's part of what's coming down the pipeline here are cloned animals and genetically modified animals. Salmon and pig are the next up, which is really why we need to refuse to participate. They want to genetically modify trees. It's a bad situation. There's no oversight. The fox is guarding the hen house, to use a cliche, but these corporations, as you know, are running the government. Mm-hmm. And they don't care about our health, the health of the planet, or the health of the animals. So yes, there is a patent on a pig that's being cloned. That's correct.
Okay, and we had a couple of comments, and we wanted to confirm the fact that GMO seeds are sterile. So if you plant a garden and you happen to plant seeds that are GMO seeds, saving the seeds from those plants serve no purpose, correct?
No, they tried that technology. That's called Terminator seed. And they did, I think they are capable of doing that, but GMO seeds are not sterile. It's just that you don't own them.
Okay.
Those seeds are owned by Monsanto.
Right. You
can't plant them without a contract with Monsanto. That's why farmers are not allowed to save seeds.
Right. So technically, as a home gardener or something, it's similar to violating a copyright law. If you save those seeds, you're violating the copyright on that seed.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
And so the reproduction question we answered. Somebody asked if you know what's next on tap for the organic farmers since they lost the competing lawsuits against Monsanto recently. Like, is there another action they're banding together to attempt, or is it just going to be constantly chipping away at that organization?
They're going to appeal that decision. I think it brought some publicity to them, and it did cast Monsanto in a bad light. And Monsanto had to say, "We're not going to sue you. You don't need to have this preventative lawsuit to keep us from suing you because we won't sue you." They're just going to try to appeal it. I think I need to check into this, but I think that a farm that is contaminated by GMOs should sue Monsanto for being contaminated by something they don't want on their property, something that's not natural.
Mm-hmm.
Much like you can't pollute somebody else's land. I need to look into that. I don't understand why. The famous case is Percy Schmeiser up in Canada, who what Monsanto does is they send detectives around on other farmers' land to test their crops, and if they find any of their copyrighted plants on their farm, they sue them for growing Monsanto product without a contract. And that's what the organic farmers lawsuit was about, was to prevent these sort of lawsuits. Because often the farmers themselves don't know that a Monsanto product is growing on their land because a seed blew onto their land or some pollen blew on and cross-fertilized with their plants. And the lawsuits are often settled out of court, but most of these farmers can't afford lawyers, so they just quickly settle. And I've heard sometimes agree to just start growing Monsanto's products just to avoid, just sign the contract. All right, I'll sign the contract here.
Yeah.
Things like that are going on.
Sapphire wants to know if the people can bring a class action lawsuit against Monsanto for lying.
What they can do is there are class action lawsuits being brought against food companies that give you packaged food that say it's all natural when there's something like canola oil in there, and the oil is made from genetically modified canola or high fructose corn syrup. I'm not sure anybody's trying to get away with calling high fructose corn syrup natural, but I think Frito-Lay is being sued right now in a class action lawsuit for false advertising.
So
that is a good route to take.
Yeah,
Fight
well,
back.
we were talking earlier about something completely off this topic, but somebody made the point that it's not a bad strategy to propose civil action lawsuits because it gets it into the legal system as case law and something to reference going forward. So it's
that's a great idea.
Yeah. So I kind of want to summarize a little bit that it seems like from what you're saying, our best options are avoid, commercially raised meats, reading the CAFO book, and that we can start as consumers by challenging what the products are in our grocery stores by refusing to buy them because the technical backing of sales and purchase recording has a direct impact on the market. So if they put this food out and we refuse to buy it, then there's going to be a market impact. And if they move towards something that is good for us and we do want to buy, we help facilitate that using our purchasing power. Is that accurate as far as grocery stores go? Then other than that, we should try to buy locally, know our sources, and avoid GMOs whenever possible, and just be smart and aggressive consumers. Where does it come from? What's the packaging? What's the labeling? Call or Google the manufacturer so we know exactly what's going on, and then make choices. And refuse to eat the school lunches.
Yeah. Occupy your kitchen. Try to cook your own food as much as possible, and as Mark has mentioned a couple of times, start growing as much of it as you can. And up in the cold climates, they're doing some research in cold frames with discarded lumber and some heavy-duty plastic. You can extend your growing season up there in the mountains. And there are some cold weather crops like spinach, radishes,
cabbage,
collards, maybe nettles.
Yep.
There's also, I've been really getting into weeds, things like nettles, stinging nettles, and lamb's quarters, and chickweed.
dandelion.
All these things are really high protein, really high in vitamins, and they're free, and they're going to be all over your neck of the woods, I think.
Yep.
I would get, it's really fun, Edible Wild Plant book, and this stuff is all this information is free on the internet. And you'd be surprised. I would imagine up in your neck of the woods, you could save a lot of money on your grocery bill with foraging.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but it's really fun.
We actually, in my area, which is very rural, we actually have some people that forage and sell like dandelion, chickweed, etc. at the little farmers markets down in the village. So, you just walk up and there's a bunch of, dandelions, and they teach you how to prepare them and everything. They're actually pretty good stir-fried with a little balsamic vinegar on them.
Yeah, and you can pick them yourself for free.
Yep. So are there any other questions from the chatters, or do you have anything else you'd like to add tonight there, Bob?
It's just a new habit to get into. To pack a lunch, to not just reflexively go out and eat at the diner. It takes a while. So sometimes I found myself sitting down eating somewhere where just because for 50 years of doing something some way, it's hard. It's a slow change. So be easy on yourself and don't drive yourself crazy. But the really exciting news is that we do hold the cards in this debate, and the only reason things have gotten as bad as they are is because we weren't educating ourselves. We were hoping the media would inform us, but they don't inform us. It's really up to us to educate ourselves. And the exciting news is that we really hold the power in this debate when we take back and occupy our kitchen.
Right. And so Don reposed the question, and I think I can summarize it as what we can do as a group to help stop this whole process. And I think the answer to that is be, intelligent, aggressive consumers like you have indicated. Also, buy as much as possible locally sourced, maybe do some foraging. And my little caveat I like to throw in is sharing information, like forums like this, email. I know at our place we have the Wild Foods book, and we also have wild food fermentation because we do a lot of that stuff ourselves, and just trade those pieces of information and those recipes and those methods of eating healthier and eating better. It's like information share. I think that's probably the strongest tool that we have.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And it's fun, builds community, and it makes you healthier.
Yep. Well, if there's no more questions, I think we'll let Bob go. He's taking time out of his evening for us, and we really appreciate it. Thank you for coming back and doing the follow-up. And we hope to talk to you soon.
So much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope we run into each other in the real world one day.
Yeah, well, that would be great. I would look forward to meeting you. And all the chatters are saying thank you and expressing their appreciation. And we hope you have a great week.